All right. I think we're up and running. I'm just going to double check my settings here. This is Chris with Phoenix Gaming. I got a guest on today, John. John is an exceptional orc player. He's fairly local to us and is just an overall great human being. Go ahead and say hi, John.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Probably mostly gentlemen.
Yeah, usually. And that's okay. Either way is fine. I'm like I said, give me 1 second. We're just gonna make sure. I always do these double checks. I've had too many instances.
Makes sense because you gotta do audio stuff.
I've had too many instances.
That was me. I had Twitch open. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I think I got an echo again, which, man, that's a pain in the butt. Let me see. I'm gonna mute this. Nope. I think we're all good. So, cool.
Oops, sorry. That's me. I'm trying to share it. If you hear something, it's probably from me.
You're good. We got some desktop audio sharing, so you're coming through clear. Everything's going great. Today we're going to talk about the Orc uh, book, right? Like that's the plan here.
Yes. Well, the orc PDF.
Well, yeah, the index. Your stream is still. Oh,
So like,
you're good. You're good. I'm just we are hitting another snag. Joy.
uh,
Let's see.
I guess.
Oh, because I'm not sharing my screen. I am. I'm just not sharing it here. Okay, give me a second. I see what's going on. Man, I'm telling you, it's hell getting old. You guys, I like relate to my parents a little bit more every time I go to do something and I'm having to learn something new, right? Let's go to
I
Discord.
agree.
All right, so, oh, let's close that out. No, don't pause it. That's what's going on. Stop pausing. Poop. All right, are we good? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Cool. Did you share a link? Is that what I just saw?
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Cool. Let's go back over to Discord. All right, so yeah, we're gonna look at the Orc Index. John and I are both Orc players. We actually a little bit of history. First time I met you was what at the Highlander tournament, I think.
Uh, yes. For your at your old shop.
Right. And hit it off pretty much immediately, which was cool. Always a great time.
Yeah,
So
double stop.
yeah, the old double. I forgot about that, man. Yeah, and like the fact that people just know you for running Stampas is awesome. Because like that kid in Lafayette was like, "What the heck is this guy doing, man?" It's awesome. It's great.
Yes.
All right,
Well, that's why you had to ask. Is a custom stamper different than a regular stamp?
right. All right, so we're good. I think we're all good now. Perfect. So the first thing we're going to talk about, John. Obviously, everybody's seen the WA ability. You and I both
Yeah.
are fine with it. It's copy pasted without the second half. It's kind of like a
It's
little
it's Goths. It's a
right.
little Gothy and half one.
We got half WA and half Goth. Really, is what we're looking at. You're 100% correct. Because
Yeah,
we
exactly.
get the sustained hits. The nice thing is that sustained hits, it's not just in the charge, it's all the time. So at least you're always getting it rather than just when you charge.
Which makes which makes it a little more efficiently.
Right.
So
Heck yeah. Um, let's talk about the stratagems first. Were there any that stood out
oh
to you? Because man, I felt like the stratagems, like this is the first edition since they've used stratagems where I felt like, wow, we actually have like more than one good strat, right?
well, I like art as nails because that's just straight up minus one of
Yes.
straight up. That's like, okay, thanks. My 20 boys are now -1 to wound. Thank you.
Well, and boys,
And
boys, real quick, boys are like, I feel like they're kind of a sleeper unit with the way you can buff them with characters. But go ahead with your strats.
and then also too, like the other one is weird. Is mob rule? Like it's kind of got too many. It's got like layers, and it's like okay, I get it, but you have to have a unit of 10, and then I don't know. It's one I don't know if I'll remember to use, but the other two is fight on death. Like it's an auto fight on death. It's not even like a 4+.
Yeah, it's a little
And then we get
expensive at 2 CP, but like you said, it's automatic and it's any unit, which is really cool. Like it's not restricted to infantry or something. Like the fact that it's any unit, so you can just be like, cool, uh,
my 7 attack Death Dread just fights.
yeah, yep. So it is really nice to have that up your sleeve, knowing that it takes some of that pressure off in the fight phase where you get like an interrupt or something. At least you know you can still get a chance to do your damage.
Or if you know like your Mega Knobs are gonna die to like something, it's like okay, well now they're gonna at least get the fight before I die. I'm actually more excited about using the regular stratagems than I am the orc ones.
Yeah, that's fair. Grenades look pretty good, you know. There's a few grenade units too, which is nice. It's not just
As bomb blasted jet.
right.
Okay.
What? Oh,
Also
I have
too
to.
the
Give me a second.
exploding
You're
five.
good. You're good. Keep talking, buddy.
So exploding fives for on 1 CP. That's
Yes. That was really good looking. Is this this is gonna screw everything up, isn't it?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it is. Okay. I figured out what the issue is, and it's basically if I don't have Discord active, it pauses the stream. So
Uh,
if you're on YouTube and you're trying to chat, I can't monitor it right now, and I apologize. This is my first time really spearheading a joint like Discord stream, so I'm still working out kinks. Yeah, no, Unbridled Carnage, fives explode. There are so many good uses for that, right? Regular
oh,
war bosses getting like their bonus attacks, and
on the
then,
walk.
yep, and then like with a unit of regular boys, like just getting the volume, just the sheer volume that you can put out. I'll tell you
And
what I
then
was
Kareem,
excited about. Did you look at Kareen?
I was just reading it right now.
I love it.
Mhm.
It really doesn't change a ton,
Except you
ex-
can make a normal move. So
or
you
a
can make a 12 inch.
fallback,
Yeah.
and you can move over
Oh,
enemy units, excluding monsters and vehicles when you do it.
oh, that's really
Yeah, like if you've got
that's
a battle wagon, like you just said, it can move 12 inches over enemy infantry, explode, then your homeboys get out, and you have a strat that lets you reroll your emergency disembark roll rules too.
that. Isn't that part of Kareem?
I don't think that is. I think it's a separate strat. Let's scroll down a little bit and find out. Mob rule. Here we go. Maybe it was part of Korean, or maybe it was do, 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 do. I know I'd seen it somewhere. I gotta try and find it. Maybe it was a enhancement or something. Do, 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 do. I'll have to figure out where I saw that. There was something I had seen where you can re-roll the roll for emergency disembark, and it might have just been like a unit specific thing too.
Maybe it was.
But yeah, I think the strats, right? They look pretty solid. They're not all 2 command points, so that's nice.
Right. It's, which is what our biggest thing was last week. But we're starting with one. And then we everybody knows here we go. Was our community, so it's still good. It does have the caveat though that it's the start of the movie. So you can't like disembark from a transport
Right.
unless you can't
You
because it's
can't
not the
use it
start of
on
it.
something in a transport, but like you had said, you absolutely could use it to a unit of boys with a weird boy to jump them and then add 2 to get a 7-inch charge.
or a unit of. Well, no, because you can't weird boy. Because weird boy can only go into boys.
Yeah, kind of sad,
That's it.
but I get it.
That's okay. With the enhancements, all of them really good.
Yeah, Follow Me, lads, was really a standout to me, and an army that's deceptively fast, right? Because a lot of people think of orcs and they look at their movement and they're like, "Oh, these guys are slow." But because we're just advancing usually for the first turn, and really the second turn, if you hit that turn two wah, like we can gain that ground a lot quicker than people realize. And then having one unit that just gets an extra 2 inches of move, and like you had said, even slapping it on the war boss and mega armor, putting them in a unit of mega knobs, and just having 8-inch move mega knobs. That's pretty scary when you think about that.
Especially if you because now you can put more transport capacity inside a transport.
Right.
So you get the 3 inches plus the 8 plus an advance plus the charge.
And then, and what I had said was, man, I'm also looking at the Death Killer War Trike with some bikes and getting that 14-inch move, just to get that covering that ground, closing that distance, catching up to people. The
Right,
only
and like
issue with the bikes is that they're just not going to have the punching power. Like they're going to be more of a target a weaker backfield unit to create disruption and havoc, whereas the Mega Knobs, you're going to be able to slam them into a lot of things and just do damage.
right, but like I said, Head Wappa's Kill Choppa
Yeah,
really good, really
absolutely.
good. Good on a war boss, but I think the knob on Smash the Squid benefits from that the best
Yep.
because he gets lethal hits or anti monster 4 or 3 against 4 or 3, so he can literally just 10 mortal wound something right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And any honestly, and we talked about it. Any of the Beast Naga characters really benefit from this a lot because they all get the anti. It's just I like it, like you said, on the knob on Smasher Squig because you can give him that bodyguard unit that also hits hard into vehicles and monsters. So it's not just like here's 100 chip wound dice with my Beast Naga boys. You can send that unit and just be like, okay, I am going to cripple this thing or pick it up. Like those are the only
Right,
two options. And
and
interestingly, go ahead, go ahead.
their stickers got anti infantry and their shooting attacks too also got anti vehicle. So that's
Right, and
and
then
they're
the 5-up feel no pain. They lost the invul and got the feel no pain, which for them I think is a upgrade. Right, I think
yeah, six
them
six
getting
five up
it.
50.
Yep. Uh, what was the other one? So cunning but brutal is interesting. I think it's good and I think it has use. I just don't know that I bring it over some of the other things that we
Right, because you get
see.
what you get 3 enhancements.
I
If
believe
I'm
so.
reading, I mean, it's worth it to put on a secondary character like a Pain Boy.
Actually, that's super fair. Is putting him on a pain boy, and then having a unit. And I don't remember how many of them get any kind of. I don't think any of them get charge bonuses except in the WA though. Is the only downside.
Right,
But being
but
able to
being
fall
able
back and charge so that you can keep fighting first, or fall back, shoot, and then charge, right? Like being able to close that. If Meganobs had good gun options still, it would be an amazing thing to slap on them. Because like being able to fall back if they still had the scorches, being able to scorch and then charge.
yeah, but no.
No, we just get our stupid little anti-infantry mortal wound guns, and I think shoot us right.
Yeah, but there's the 6 shot shooters 4 or 6 and 4 feel no pain. I
Which
don't I don't know. Like the Squig boss already has it.
right, and that's what I was
Pain
gonna say
Boy,
is the only things that I would want to put it on already have it.
yeah, and like the Mega Boss gets a Fort Feel No Pain during a WOG. So eh,
Yeah,
but definitely take it. Follow me, lads, and head up to Kill Chopper. Kind of a
yes.
brutal. Okay, situationally
Yeah.
could be good.
In the right unit for sure.
Like Burnus could be good. Good fall back and shoot
And
Burnus.
Burnus getting the cutting, oh my gosh, cutting flames coming back had me stoked, man.
Oh, I know. They lost the weapon skill, but
They
it's
did,
okay.
but it's okay because they're what they reroll wounds against or on objective markers, so it's one of
Yeah.
those where I'll survive. uh,
And
first
you can
thing I'll
attach them.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you can attach a character to it too, so that's kind of a nice little toy there.
So this battle wagon, right? First data sheet we're gonna look at. It was like it set the tone for me. As soon as I saw the battle wagon and read through what it did, I was just like, man, this actually looks really good. Obviously, we
I
don't know
know.
what points are, which we're going to find out here in a little bit. And actually, we could probably, once we get through orcs, kind of look at points. But
Mhm. Yeah, I've got community on another tab, so I'm
yep,
kind of like refreshing.
I do too. Battle wagon, it moves 10, which is fine. T10, which seems to be about the standard for the bigger vehicles.
Yes,
It's
but
not T7, which or T9, right? Like it's still tougher than a Rhino, which I
and
like.
still and it's still tougher than a melta gun. So
Right.
like multi meltas are out right now. They're all nine.
And it's still 16 wounds. Oh, let's do that.
Yes,
So again, super solid. The guns still look fairly lackluster. I feel like the zap gun could be kind of funny, even though it's a single shot. But
it's always been that though.
right. It's one of those where it's always been a single shot. It's not the end of the world, but most of the guns just kind of look meh. And you and I have talked like that's kind of been the case for now 2 straight editions. It looks like
Right.
there's some
You take it
standouts.
if you take now. I do like. Did you see the grabbing claw gets extra attacks now?
Yes. You get 2 extra attacks with the claw, 1 extra attack with the ball. I'm hopeful that it's a free upgrade. You just get one or the other because I'm still not spending
5 points.
5 points
I,
on it.
I think
Right.
I spend 5 points on the. I think I spend 5 points.
I might spend it on the ball, honestly, just because it's D6 damage. It is 0 AP, but it's one of those like, eh. But it have to be a situation where I have 5 points that I just need to blow. Like I'm not going out of my way to spend it.
But are you spending 5 points on a big shooter or a wrecking ball?
Ooh boy, just one big shooter, man.
Yeah,
That's a tough call, actually. I
right,
might put it on the big shooter just so I can at least still interact with that phase, especially from a
right.
competitive standpoint. I'm getting 3 to 5 attacks, and again, if I'm playing against elves, cool, man. Like I'll at
Yeah.
least kill one.
And then it has armor contempt, which is kind of nice.
That was
Unexpected,
awesome, right? Like I did not expect that, man.
unexpected. Thank you. Oh, and I guess ramshackle's built in now with a 6-up invuln.
Yeah, the invuln, like getting ramshackle to reduce AP by 1, and then the invuln and the 3-up save, and then the art case giving you T12. I was like, okay, these, like obviously there's a lot of devastating wounds anti-vehicle in the game. We both know that, but outside of those specific things, like these look good. They look very
Yeah,
good.
I did call T10 though, and 12 with the arcade.
Yeah, you did. Uh, and then it can carry Gaskell, but he takes up 18 spaces because he's thick.
Yeah, it does have 22 though. It's interesting on the 22, so there's a lot of combinations you could throw,
Right.
and it's not restricted to like one unit. It's 22, so there's 5 tank busters, 5 burners, 5 ludas, five
Yeah.
whatever, and 2 characters.
Yeah, tank busters we'll get into. That one was kind of sad. uh,
Uh,
Beast Snagga boys, I don't want to dig into them too much unless there's something you wanted to say about them, John, because, like,
um, I think the Warcom previewed them. They
yep,
know everything,
like the Feel No Pain is solid. They look
and then
good.
getting an invul and feel no pain. So interesting on that. So nah, we can skip that.
And then the Beast Boss. So the biggest disappointment to me was that the Beast Snaga stuff still basically just interacts with the Beast Snaga stuff.
Yeah, that's I get it, fluff wise.
Right, but again, man, like all the crybaby Marine players got their Primaris to go in a drop pod, and I can't get a Beast Boss to go in a regular unit of boys.
Yeah, and they also lost the toughness and a wound. So, but they gained body. So, kind of a wash.
Yeah.
I did, I
Go.
did, I, I do like the bestial rage or the bestial rage when he gets devastating wounds on a turn he charges. Anyway, it's not just a wog turn.
Oh, it
Well,
is. So again, going back to the fallback in charge, like he is a prime candidate for cunning but brutal then, because you can fall
yeah,
him back and then charge him, and his unit won't gain it, but he'll gain it, which is still really good.
yeah, because he's still pushing 4 attacks or 6 with the beast chopping. So,
Yep.
and basically it's 4 up against vehicles and monsters. It's like, well, eat 2 mortal wounds every time.
Right. Heck yeah. No, and he like I am probably getting mine out. Right. I saw this and was like,
Yeah,
okay, I guess I'm probably gonna play some Beast Snagga stuff. Because one of the things I saw is that as an orc player, I can have an army that has just like an army wide feel no pain. And that feels pretty good given the like orcs are supposedly rugged and durable, but they just
which
haven't been.
right, and we all got a point of armor save, and with AP being less to a degree,
Right.
you're getting you're getting saves, invulns, and possibly feel no pain.
This dude, the
So
Beast Boss on Squigosaur, I think he looks absolutely hilarious. And I'm
he's
gonna,
T.
yeah, I'm putting him on the table. I don't care that he's got a giant target on his back, and I don't care that you can't hide him, you can't screen him. Like he's just gonna get shot off the table most games. He's T10, like you said. He's 9 wounds. He's got all the anti-vehicle, anti-monster stuff, and then he's got the extra attacks for the Squigosaur jaws, which have devastating wounds. He has a 6-inch aura of reroll charge rolls for Beast Snaggy units. He is a Beast Snaggy unit, so he will get it. And then he can
Yeah,
heroically intervene, even if you've already heroically intervened, and he does it for 1 CP instead of the 2. So he just looks stupid fun, right? Like he just looks like a fun model to put on the table, and I
but
look forward to putting him down.
why did they not give him like lone operative?
I don't think the Demon Prince got it either,
Right, he didn't get it either.
and I think it's one of those where I think I can't speculate. It's just one of those where I think it's like, okay, we're gonna make this guy pretty good, and we're gonna give him a 4-up feel no pain and a 5-up invuln, and we're gonna make him T10. Because I think so. When we were on Stat Check last night, one of the things that was brought up was, do you guys feel like we're actually doing alpha and beta testing for 10th edition? And
Yeah,
basically meaning, do you think this index is basically GW trying to collate data over events and community feedback so that when they make the codexes, they can try to make them better than they did in ninth? And again, I don't know. I need to preface this by saying I don't know. But I believe that would be the case, right? So I think some of this stuff doesn't have lone operatives, so they can test its survivability and then maybe data slate it to get it if it just doesn't get played or if it just dies too fast.
right. I get it, but it's like I was shocked to see like, okay, you can't join a unit, fine, cool, but no like lone operative you know within 3 of a beast snagga unit, you know.
Right. Well, and honestly, I think a better interaction for Lone Operative would have been like give it 2 different ratings, like Lone Operative 12, Lone Operative 18. And so
Okay,
then like some of these units like the Beast Boss on Squigosaur maybe give him 18 so that he's not turn 1 getting shot off the table unless somebody's just like up in your shit. But then they don't have to be within charge range to shoot him. I feel like that's a fair interaction, right?
because do the same to the demon prince.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think he looks fun. He's one that I'm definitely checking points out today when they drop. He just
Yeah.
looks super fun. What are your thoughts
Oh,
on the Big Mech and Mega Armor, buddy?
Oh man, so like he's I like the KF. I think you can only choose the KFF or the teleporter blaster. Yeah, you can only choose one. Um, a 4-up invo, like it's what we needed. It's what we needed 2 editions ago.
Right.
Uh, but more importantly, the fact that he can only join Meganovs and bring one back a turn. That's like money in the bag. Like whatever point cost of Meganov is, he's an apothecary. Like he's like what apothecaries were in for the space variants. So like a free dead model, okay. A
Right.
free
And even if they're 40 points, if you can do it 3 turns a game, you've just made 120 points.
and it's just like okay, and then he gets to heal. You know, if he depending if the Grot Oiler's free, I don't know if I pay 5 points for it to heal D3 wounds. If I had 5 points,
Right. And at that point, are your 5 points better suited for that big shooter on the battle wagon or your once
or
per game healing?
yeah, or the Grandma Claw.
Right. These are
I like
real
I like
real decisions we need to make.
I like the custom Mega Blaster went to a flat 3 shots versus D3. So I just don't like combi weapons. I'm not gonna waste. And his BS did go down. Yes, people, his BS. They're no longer BS4.
Right. Yeah, and
So,
the
but
combi weapons are it's like cool, it's a single shot, maybe it's 2 shots, but we're ballistic skill 5. So I think for me, the gun take on him is either the KMB, which is no longer assault, which is kind of poopy, uh, or the custom shooter. The custom shooters, I mean, it's only 6 shots, strength 4, 0 AP, but if most of the rest of the game is getting their AP reduced, that makes the custom shooter seem less bad in context, right?
right. But again, three shots at strength 9 AP minus 2d6. I'll take that every time.
Right. And again, if it's free, even better. If it's a few points, there's where the 5 points go, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, he's a good target again for the uh, follow me lads. He's a good target for the fall back and shoot
Yeah,
and charge.
yeah. Did you see? He moves 5 inches finally.
Yeah, well, he got those extra pistons. He
That's
finally
right.
got.
The
He
regular
finally.
Big Mac, we're gonna. So the other thing about the Big Macs, right, is they reroll hit rolls of 1, but only for ranged attacks, which feels weird.
Yeah, yeah, we get rerolls too. That
Right.
does feel weird.
We finally get some sort of reroll outside of the beast snaggers, right? And it's just like, what unit
Why?
would I put him in to give them rerolls of 1? Because I'm not putting him in a flash gets. I'll just take Badruck.
You can't put him in flash kits anyways.
Gotcha. I didn't even look. I was just like, that's not a. It's not even when it would be an option to me though, because
So
Badruck
Burners,
is just like so good.
you wouldn't put him in Burners because you're already auto hitting.
Right.
Ludas, okay, but they already reroll ones anyway.
Well, and the Ludas are ballistic skill 6.
Right. But heavy, and they're already rerolling ones.
Right.
So boys with shooters, okay,
Yeah, maybe.
or knobs. Tank. This is like okay. Would it be cool to put them in tank busters? We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah, because that's a whole separate talk. The KFFs do look good. Like, just the fact that it gives the unit a 5 up against range, and then once per game you can make it a 4 up, but it doesn't burn out your force field.
Right, and then you can
Uh,
spend 5 points to make it a second time if you need to.
and then absolutely, like, I would consider at least testing a 20 man of boys with shooters. And
Oh
maybe
yeah,
like a rocket or two, like just a very shooty boy unit. I would
yeah,
consider testing it with him just to get the reroll hit rolls of 1, just to give him the invuln and kind of help keep him on the table and just kind of see how that feels because that could be a pretty solid unit for clearing out like if you hit those elf players or those guard players that have a lot of infantry, just being able to to just clear out those point scoring, objective grabbing units, and it'd be
Right.
relatively
And
cheap.
again, he could still be the second character in a 20-man boy squad,
Yeah, the other character has to be a war boss, and I don't know that I'd put a war boss in that squad.
depending on points.
Shock attack
Big
gun. What do you think about that,
oh,
buddy?
oh, oh, oh. Well, I thought I was gonna have devastating wounds. Sad. I it's not flavorful anymore, but like it is heavy, so he could get BS4. I like the take a battle shock test. That's actually can be really good because once if you battle shock a unit, then they can't go to ground now. You know,
Right.
you can't. So, but the other part is like attaching him to the Met guns is where I'm looking at right now. Like, unit gets
Yes.
reroll one.
Yes.
My disappointment is that none of the big mechs heal, and that's one thing that bothers me. They've
Right.
always healed,
Right.
so you're trading healing for reroll ones to shoot.
In an army
But
that doesn't generally have great guns.
exactly, but attaching him to mech guns, I think he's like the first character that I haven't gone through every index, but like Tech Marines can't attach to a vehicle. Like they get lone operative, but
Right.
not
But they don't attach. Whereas with the mech guns, you can slam him into that unit. That unit will reroll hit rolls of one. And mech
so.
guns, we'll cover mech guns later, but I think they've got some pretty they look funny, and there's some
Yeah.
solid options in there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Especially when leadership's not a big thing anymore.
right.
Okay.
The
And they're
the one thing I would also consider is I would consider throwing him into a unit of Ludas and then
because the
putting
reroll.
them in a transport or putting them on the table. Because in the transport, if you just mech them, they all get the +1 to hit. And then or if the transport's just sitting on an objective and shooting out, right? Like then we still have that interaction. But I
But he
think,
doesn't get reroll.
yeah,
Now
you
does
won't.
he still get
No, he won't get the rerolls because the data sheet gun profile just transfers over, so he won't get the rerolls in the transport. But really, the transport's there more as like a wound soak, right? Or
mhm,
access to a +1 to hit from the mech if you wanted it. I think the mech guns are a better choice. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to try something different, that would be where I would go with him.
right? So rule but it says like in transport's abilities in the core rule that you can't use like other leaders' abilities inside transports and
Right.
okay. Because I know like auras wouldn't work, but because you're not on the battlefield, but
Well, and so
those
like the main part of the interaction is that just the weapon profile transfers to the
I
transport.
got you.
So he's not attached to the transport, and you're basically just copy pasting the gun profile to the transport is really what's happening.
So I guess I have to go buy a couple of boss head bunkers too.
Yeah, so and unfortunately, like at the risk of sounding like a salty old dude, man, like most of the orc models that came out in ninth, I'm just not a huge fan of. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Beast Snaga aesthetic. The Boss
Right.
Bunka, I'm kind of on the fence on. And I think the biggest thing with the Boss Bunka is just how it's always painted in GW pictures.
But you can always custom. It's orc. You can just put whatever
Right,
crap you
just
want.
make one. Like I've got a Baneblade sitting in my house right now that's going to become a kill tank, and that is one thing I do love about our army is that if I don't like the model, I can just make my own, and nobody bats an eye.
But this is where again you could put your 10 Ludas and a shock attack gun.
Yes, it is a fortification, so it cannot go into strategic reserves. That is one thing to
No,
keep in mind.
no teleporter though. I
But
was kind of disappointed in the strats that we didn't have a teleporter strat. That
right,
was
it has a leadership aura. God dang it, I did it again. A leadership aura, which is fine. It doesn't really do a lot, but the unit, yeah, it doesn't really do a lot, right? It gives
Right,
cover, which is cool. I do like how all the fortifications actually give some kind of cover now.
right.
Uh,
Makes total.
and I think that's the intent is like, hey, we understand that these are not balanced across all the factions, but the least we're going to do is at least give you the opportunity to put your own terrain feature down to kind of provide you with some cover.
Which is what AOS does.
Right. Yeah, but the AOS terrain features, some of those are just like bonkers, right?
Yeah,
Like the Wildwoods are insane in how they interact with Sylvaneth. Uh, but
right.
the Gaze of Gork and the Gaze of Gork's the glare and the squint. Um, man,
Did you? Yeah, there. You see sustained hits D3.
yeah, and it is. I looked yesterday, and I think there's 3 total guns that have -4 AP, and each one is a single shot, and they're all on different data sheets, if I remember right. Like, we just don't have a lot of good anti-vehicle shooting.
Which is kind of what we've always had.
Right. Yeah, our shooting always came in 2 forms, right? Massive amounts of 0 AP dice, or just like super silly guns that were hazardous and like, cool, man, just don't roll ones.
Yep. Now
Uh,
we just don't have to. Now we can roll a one and just take three more to win.
right. I do think it's cool. Like, I'll probably pick one up at some point just because I'm an orc player anyway. It is still a transport, which is interesting. So you can throw people inside it. It's got a firing deck. Uh, I haven't found any special rules on fortifications in the core rulebook yet.
Like, like, do they have to be deployed? Like normally in ninth, they would have to be deployed first in your deployment zone.
Right. Uh, and so like I'm wondering if all of that is gone. Like, can I just deploy this thing within range of an objective marker in my backfield, slam a unit of Ludas inside of it, for example, and just let it sit there?
So, but yeah. So, but well, you can't be on an objective mark. Like you just put it in range,
No,
and you just
but
can't
that's
be
what
on.
I mean. It's just within range. You're right.
Now, does the unit inside count as holding an objective? I would think not because they're not on
No,
the
because they're not on
battlefield.
the table. Correct. That interaction is still pretty much the same. If they're in a transport, they're not on the table. They just don't get to do shit. Like, that's still pretty much
So,
the same.
but again, like you could still put some stuff in there, and then you get out. If they destroy it, you got OC on the objective now.
Right. Right. Well, that's a good point. I didn't even look at its OC. It probably didn't have any.
It doesn't have any,
Okay.
and I think that's been standard through all the other fortifications I've seen. So,
So the Blitzabama, I went through a lot of the jets. I think the DACA jet looks absolutely funny.
so the bill what's about? I read it and I thought it was. I was like, oh my god, roll a four, oh, 4 ups for mortals. No, it's one unit.
Yeah, you pick one unit, you roll one d6, and if you roll a 4, so you have a 50% chance to do a d6 mortals. Um, so this one's kind of poopy, right? The other bomb is a
Oh,
little bit better, I think.
this one's like absolute poopy. Like, the other thing too is like all the vehicles are taking -1 to hit now with like degrading. So it's like, well, so now some. So I think this will stay on the shelf unless something changes. Unless it's like, oh, 90 points.
Right, like
But then again,
they'd have to be well, and they have to start in reserves. So it's like, eh.
right?
Like
Are you
the
gonna?
bombers are inherently nerfed because aircraft have to start in strategic reserves.
So it's kind of like, no, it'll stay on the shelf.
The Snazwagon, um,
It's cute because now it can fight. Before it couldn't fight. It was just a gun.
right.
But
Like
but
it
now it
gets
can
four
fight.
attacks, strength 7, neg 1, 2 damage, strength 8 on the wah. So that's actually kind of cool.
The
It,
next special
yep,
lost the damage and
yep,
an AP, and it's the exact same thing.
yeah. It just got weaker. Its -1 to hit is now only within 6 inches. Um, so it's like And I
Well,
told you before, I
but
just feel like the buggies are lackluster. Go ahead.
it is an aura of -1 to hit, so get it stuck in melee.
Right. Like you can finagle it to make it a lot more useful than it looks.
But nope. If you could take units of 2, okay, so then your aura gets bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I could get behind that. The units, the only coming in units of 1 really hurts the buggies anyway, but now also I just think they
It's
were they weren't
what's
even
what.
that great in ninth. It's just that for a while it was the only thing that was really good.
Yeah.
And then it's like all of them are in the naughty box right now, right? A lot of them
Well,
just look like they're on like naughty timeout for a little bit.
it does have the grenades keyword, so you could, if you wanted to throw the 8 dice for mortals.
Right, you could do that.
But are you wasting a CP on that or a CP to do something better?
Right. Uh,
So, and we have no extra CP, like, nobody, everybody's getting like free CPs or zero scratch.
Gretchen have an interaction that let you potentially get some. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I thought I saw like one other thing, but man, Gretchen, just by looking at them, they're even worse than they were in ninth. And I'm just like, how do you take this unit and make it worse than it was? I don't understand. Um, but again, we'll get to Gretchen. Uh, Snickrot looks pretty solid. He's got the infiltrators, the leader, stealth,
And
so he's
stuff
-1 to hit against shooting. Can forward deploy, and then
can pull out and then just redeploy.
he always counts as having the benefit of cover.
Right.
And then
Unless they take it away.
right, unless something ignores cover or if he's just by himself. But as long as he's in a unit, the whole unit gets the benefit of cover, and then once per battle, he can just hop off the table. I think he's got some good play. There's some good, and again, we're also going to need to see how the missions play out. But I think there's a lot of good utility in him and the 10 man of commandos because they're now mandatory 10 model units.
Yeah, it's pretty too.
Yeah, but I think we kind of expected that based off of
It's
everything
what
that we'd seen so far.
it's what's in the box. That should be the title of the
What's in the
stream.
box?
Yeah. But most teeth they get reroll wounds, which I'm really happy about because that was his problem. Is that he couldn't his built-in warrior trait was brutal but cunning in ninth,
Right.
and you never took it on him
No,
because
because there's so
there
many
was
better things you could put it on.
right. But now he has it built in. It's not bad. It's
And
6 attacks.
precision
It's
and reroll wounds. Yeah.
so he's if he's under if he, even if he stayed at 85 points, I think is what he was in ninth. I think he's and I like too that right now we can just take. I think I read it right. You could take every epic hero, you just can't duplicate.
That's my
Because
understanding too. I have to double check it, but that is my understanding. Yeah.
so you could run Stick Rock Gaz, all the other ones. You could just run everybody if you wanted to.
I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Zagstruck unless you want to. He just kind of looks
No,
very meh to me.
yeah, the Vulture's claws and choppas just got like, yeah, we know what he does. I mean,
Yep.
the 6 up field of pain went from a 6 down to a 5. He's got he got an invuln, so he
Right.
got an invuln, so it traded his field of
Let's talk about Boyz, man. What used to be the
pain,
backbone of our army.
and then became the toilet bowl in
Yeah.
ninth.
What are your thoughts on them right now? Because I have some thoughts on them, but I'm curious to hear yours first.
So I like both. I like everything about him, but wait on points. We got
Yep.
a better armor save,
So
better
you
armor
you and
save,
I are in the same boat then. Okay.
better armor save, a better movement. I like taking rocket launchers, even in a squad of 10 chopper. Even throwing 10 chopper boys, I'll still hop out one for a rocket because they're not heavy anymore. They're just blast. So D3 plus one shots minimum, usually on a 5-man squad.
Yep.
I think I'm going to take a rocket every time. But I do think there's no mixing and matching shooters and slugers. You go one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do the interesting thing with the war boss is that they have like you basically can break some heads if you're on objective marker. But really, where they get spicy is having two leaders at 20 miles.
Yep, and we
That's
talked about that, man. Like potentially throwing a pain boy in that unit for a 5-up feel no pain is actually like gives them a good healthy survivability that again they just lacked. And I think the pain
it,
boy has a once per game put models back too, if I remember right.
yes, that's what I'm spending my 5 points on.
Yes, 100%. Um, yeah, and I think boys are going to be again points dependent. I feel like they're going to be kind of like the unsung hero effectively of this army. 20-man units are now viable because we're not picking them up to leadership. Like Blast is still pretty punishing, but at least I'm also not picking them up to leadership. With the reduction of AP and the increase of their save and the easy access to cover, it's going to be pretty easy to get boys to a 4-up save against a lot of things, right?
The other thing too is like a war boss with a knob banner. That's actually really super good because you can advance and charge just that unit.
Yeah,
Don't have to call a wall, and you can still get a 5-up invuln per unit and have a so
right. You could have 2 turns of a 5-up, 5-up. If well, not 5-up, 5-up because you wouldn't have the pain boy, but you could get 2 turns with the 5-up invuln. Absolutely. Like I like where boys are looking right now. The shooter boys I still think look like I why would I bring them? But
only if you're gonna run the Big Mac. I think if you're just gonna roll five, just buckets of dice and get
right.
reroll one.
Well, and I
Roll two.
think like we said earlier is maybe once we get some games in and we see the context of 10th, we understand that
Right.
maybe it's worth it cuz like Space Marines base Space Marines can't get a 2-up save against them anymore.
Right. And unless you're a Terminator.
Right. But just like core power armor dudes, they're still only getting 3 even in cover. You're not killing a lot, but you're going to chip damage. And that's one of those so maybe a unit of them even if it's only 10 just to have some like I need just a bucket of dice, try and clear out like some T3 bodies or something.
Yeah. The elf players will have to worry about the T3 people will have to worry about those because T3 makes it even better because sisters can't get a 2-up save anymore.
Right. And they're
You
only
know,
1 wound, so a failed save is a dead sister.
any incubi I assume are still 1 wound.
Yep.
I don't know. I looked at
Yep.
Chukari. So,
T3 1 wound. Don't get me started, buddy.
oh
It's just a mixed bag. Like there's some stuff in Drukari that looks pretty solid, but then there's some stuff in Drukari that just leaves me scratching my head. Witches look not good at all. But Burnas, man, I felt like Burnas looked really good.
I was hoping they were going to be. I was hoping they like the bonus to movement, a better save. Like okay, and then they still make ranged attacks within 6 and get to reroll wounds of one, or within range of an objective marker, full rerolls to wounds with their flame weapon. But that also includes the KMBs if you're gonna spanner.
Right.
Like,
Or
do you,
rockets, right.
are you putting? What are you thinking? Are you always KMBing just for anti tank, or are you right? Is it points depending on?
So I think if everything's just a 5-point upgrade, for example, like the big shooter, the custom mega blaster, the rocket launcher. If the big shooter's free and the KMB and the rockets are 5, uh, I think I take the KMB most of the time. I may take the rockets. It's a little bit less shots consistently, but I'm not picking them up, right? Like there's lower risk but lower reward. Um, but one of those two is going to be to me just the automatic. It's going in unless they're just like way overpointed. Like the big shooters are fine, but I agree. I think the KMB looks really good. I think the Rockets look solid. Um,
Yeah, heavy. Well, I mean, heavy would have been better, but they're not old heavy where
right.
no.
I don't like that. Nothing is assault still.
Yeah, it should have been.
Like, why are the Burners not assault? I like to some degree I get it. Like, that's a pretty spicy move, being able to just advance and shoot like that, especially with the way this edition looks like it's shaking out. But it
But
just
but all flamers have gotten it, though, unless you have a specialized unit.
right.
All the flame. It's not just our flamers. Everybody's flamers.
I do like that a lot of them ignore cover now too.
That's good. And if you could throw any sort of AP on them, but you can't.
Right. I do
So
like the cut and flames came back. Yeah, it's weapon skill 4, but man, just having a melee profile again feels good. Like that was
without
kind of a
benefit,
slap in the face in ninth.
I mean, there was ways around it. Like you spend it, but you had to save CP. Like I was always 10 burn every time, and
Right.
I was always up. But we had the upgrades for mortals, death skulls plus one wound.
Right.
So
Yeah, the death skulls +1 to wound strat. So bonkers with them. Like, haha,
so
here's 40 saves. Can't make them all, nerd.
right, and then reroll sixes do mortals. They are again what's in the box.
Yeah. So it's 4 burners, 1 spanna. And then I believe the way it's worded is if you go over 5, you have to have another spanner, right?
This unit will contain one spanner for every four burn of boys it contains. So it's still back to the same thing. You take seven,
Right.
once you go to eight.
Right.
So 7-1. Yeah. The burn Obama, way better.
Yes.
Holy crap.
And so to me, this is a perfect example of how a bomber should interact, right? Each
Yeah.
time this model ends a normal move, you drop your bomb, blah, 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 blah. Until the end of the turn, models in that unit cannot have the benefit of cover, and then in addition, roll 1d6 for each model in that unit. Each 6 is a mortal wound. Like, to me, this is how bombers should kind of interact. Bam, you get hit with a bomb, you can't gain the benefit of cover, and then I have a 16% chance per die to do a mortal wound to you. Not like roll 8 dice, uh, and then
Two ups,
two ups
two
do
ups or more.
d6 mortals or whatever. Like the AdMech one was so absurd. So it's one of
Yeah.
those where, to me, this is how they should interact. I really like the way they look. Again, I think there's a lot of effort being done to kind of fix aircraft so they're not as janky as they have been since what, eighth, seventh?
Yeah. Seventh and eighth, yeah. But like the Scorching missiles, if that's a free upgrade, oh, that's actually legit, really interesting little toy there. Because
It's a,
two D six shots
yep,
with blast and ignore cover. So
yep,
you could fly over a unit, ignore their cover for your other stuff,
yeah,
and then
no.
drop the missile.
And the twin super shooters also pretty solid, especially with like the ability to shut off something's cover. Uh, it's 4 shots, but you get an additional 2 shots. So it's going to be 6 shots within half range, sustained hits, twin links, or re-rolling wounds. Like it, to me, those are solid. Those are solid guns.
I'm hoping this will stay around the 110 point range. I mean, like this bomber actually does work. Like it kind of it's T9, so even a Melta now
Right.
is moving it on a 4. So here's another thing too: is like there's no rule saying like if you were to strategically place a bomber next to a mech at the end of the reinforcement space, you could heal it up D3 and give it +1 to hit.
Yeah, there's nothing right now that says that that I can think of. We could be wrong. So again, if you're watching and drop it in chat. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to be able to monitor YouTube chat right now. But to the best of my knowledge, yes, you are correct, which means you could get this thing hitting on 4s with a mech at the end of this. So, like, if you put it in reserves and just bring it out, because does the +1 go at the end of the movement phase or in the command phase?
At the end of the movement phase.
So you could bring it out from reserves next to the mech, have the mech give it +1 to hit, right? And then just boom.
Yeah, we'll get to the Wazbomb Blast Jet with that trick.
Yes. Yes. The DACA jets.
Oh,
So
the best thing
go
the
ahead.
best thing about this is everything's in alphabetical order. I think this is the
Yes.
only index that's in alphabetical order.
I did notice that when
That
I was going through it, because like I was going through some of the other ones, and I'm like, I don't understand what order this is in. But then I was going through this one and I'm like, why is this one alphabetical?
because we're orcs.
Jets, again, from a competitive standpoint, I don't know how I feel about them, but they're hilarious.
So, but it just means that every five and so, but they do have everything like so. Every gun's a 5 or 6 now,
Right.
worth an extra hit.
But that also means because it has sustained hits, if it hits you, it just counts
It's
as
an
two
extra,
hits. Right.
yeah.
So that's why I think it's
So
hilarious because it's going to get it. You could take three twin super shooters with it, so you could get a potential of 18 dice. And out of those 18 dice, you're going to average what, 6 hits? Because that's a third of
yeah,
them. But that's actually going to
right.
be 12 hits. So you're going to get effectively a 50% hit rate on average with this model. Uh,
And it does have a, and it does have AP. So
right. So it's so funny. Again, I don't know from a competitive standpoint how good it's going to be, but it just makes me laugh so much.
yeah, and I kind of liked it because they were really good in seventh, where you got +1 to hit if you targeted every gun or eight, every gun at 1 unit. You got +1 to hit.
Right.
Ninth, win away,
Right.
and now so at least they're making planes do something different, but we'll see on points. If it stays the 110 point range, um, yeah, thank you. I will take one.
Right. I've got to finish building mine, buddy.
So, oh, depth trends.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man. So I don't.
oh.
We've already touched on them a little bit, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on them unless there's something you really wanted to mention
Well,
outside of what we already did.
the battle shock is interesting, and that's just really good because that
Yeah.
means if they ban the battle shock, no strats, and if they
Desperate
want to,
breakout if they want to fall back. Right.
the only interesting thing is like the loadout. We have so many options. What is it? Again, points dependent, but like, so if you have one claw, a friend of mine was asking like this morning too. It's like, okay, how does like the dead choppy work? Like, are you getting no? It's four, if you have one claw, you get 4 attacks. The way I'm reading, and then for every other claw, you get one more. So base up to 7. That's the way I've been interpreting.
That's the way I understand it as well, because it just says for each additional, rather than
Right.
this weapon gives you one additional attack. It's just you have 4 attacks, and then each additional claw gives you one additional attack. So yeah, I agree. It's 7 to 8. So really, like that's the interesting thing to me about Death Dreads is that their data sheet didn't really change. It's just you can only take a unit of one now, which again these are 85 point models traditionally. Like these are so cheap that taking one and they die so fast usually that taking one is just like why would I do this?
But again, T9, Moto's only winning on 4s,
Right.
6 up both all the time.
Right.
So, and they do. Did you notice how far they move now?
Yeah, the 8 inches. Yes, yes, yes. And I still think they're good. Like I'll still run 3 in a list. If they're cheap, like if they still stay in that like reasonably
Mm-hmm.
cheap range, I feel like 3 is still like an auto include,
But
especially
now you
because we
can
don't have slots anymore.
right, and you can still strategic reserve them, part of your 500 points,
Right.
and bring them in. And now they actually have some guns.
But
Like,
no ramming speed. Big sad.
yeah, well, big 2024.
That's right.
2024.
That's right. Uh,
You have to look at that.
so the War Trike got a
Yeah,
glow up.
yeah, your boy, your favorite boy.
This is you're right. This is one of my favorite orc models, right? Like this is hands down one of my favorites. He moves 12. He stayed at T6, but he's not a vehicle anymore. He's got the mounted keyword, which means I
Oh,
don't
I
have to.
didn't even,
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about him getting dicked off the table by mortal wound cannons near as much as some of the other things. Um, 5 up invuln,
wow,
4 up save.
actually, so here's a fun thing. You can use artist nails now on that in his unit, so get him the
Yeah,
because they're not a vehicle unit,
right.
so
They're
now
not
you
a
can give
vehicle
him
unit,
a
so I can have the bikes get -1 to
-1
wound.
to wound.
And the bikes, again, we'll get into the bikes look solid. Again, points depending. They didn't change a ton. Um,
But yeah, prime candidate for Erie for the +2 to move.
yes.
Prime.
Uh, yes. He gives his unit +1 to hit now, which is kind of just the standard War Boss bonus. So I can't complain because he didn't do a damn thing
Anything.
in ninth.
Nope.
And then when his unit
Auto,
advances, it auto advances 6.
and that's not a once per game anymore. Remember, he had the once per game 9 inch
Right,
advance,
the 9 inch. Yep. Um,
but now this is a straight every time.
the guns basically stayed the same. Like, he still got the boomsticks, the Kill a Jet, which is a single shot melt to 2, and then the Burna, which is just a heavy flamer. None of them are assault now, which is kind of shitty, except for the boomsticks. But the Snagaclaw actually looks solid. It went to 10-2-2, and it was strength 7.
Holy crap! Right.
Yeah, so he actually looks like he is going to be pretty solid. Maybe not like amazing, but I do feel like my style of play is going to be a bit more viable in 10th than it was in ninth. You know, like the bike heavy kind of speed freaky, you know, all balls no skill kind of style.
Yeah, but like his unit getting that 14-inch move plus, I mean that's a 20-inch
Right.
on a turn on a walk turn,
Yep. With a 5-up emblem for the unit. Yeah, no, I think they look solid. Like
and
him in a
and
unit
plus
of
one
bikes.
and a +1 to hit, so they're hitting on twos.
Yeah, 3s for your knob with the power claw, and then his attacks and a power claw knob give me like the ability to at least slam him into something a little bit higher toughness and still get
Yeah.
some damage in.
Oh, you could even solo a medium-sized vehicle. You
Right.
can
Just through weight of dice on the boys, and then like having the 3 or 4 attacks from the power claw, and then the 4 or 5 attacks from the snagga claw. Like, we will get there. I don't
this is
like.
the
Go ahead.
this is the other one too for kind of but brutal. The fallback shoot and charge.
Yes. Uh, have you looked at bikes yet, John? Because man, there's some neat stuff
No,
there. All right. Well, then when we get
I
there,
told you I
yeah.
didn't look at everything.
Uh, Def Coptas, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, which is sad for you.
Yeah, because I do love my Coptas, right? Like, they were a staple in most of my lists throughout ninth. The Rockets, so I feel like the Rockets going down, but getting reroll wounds, I can live with that, right? It's not my favorite, but I can live with it. But what
They
really
did go to strike
hurts, go ahead.
strike 9. Nice. Okay. So
So,
your medium vehicles,
and
but the
therein lies
reroll.
my inherent issue with Strength 9. Because Rockets traditionally have been like one of our best anti-vehicle weapons, right?
Yeah,
And they're just kind of
everything's
shitty now for
yeah,
anti-vehicle.
everything's T10. Yeah, everything's T10 or T11, T12.
Uh, the spinning blades lost their pip of AP, and I get why, but it's just one of those where it's like, man, again, I'll have to play with them a little bit, but just looking at it makes me think I'm probably not putting many of these on the table anymore.
They lost the boom bomb too, but they gave it as an inherent ability.
Right.
So like now the question is like, do you put a KMB on? Is it a point if the KMB is free for one of them because it's what's in the box? Do you skip a rocket for a KMB for a flat 3 shots?
Who man, I don't know. I'd have to. Probably. I probably could if it's free. Yeah, I think I do. Just to get a flat 3 dice out of it and hope I just don't fail that hazardous check, right?
I mean,
Um,
but still, it still doesn't kill the captain though. Like you got
right.
4 wounds, so, and you could always spend a CP reroll. Going to T6 was nice.
They did lose 2 inches of movement though.
Yeah, but everything has been the same. That's one thing they've kept consistent.
Right, and that's fair. Is everything is kind of samey right now because it's an index, right?
So, okay, everything's moved 12. I see the battle wagon 10 because it's big
Right,
and chunky.
because it's thick, right?
you know.
Uh, buddy, have you looked at
They have.
flash kits?
Oh yeah, no, I have not. Oh my.
Let's
Okay,
look
so,
at them because they look pretty
so
good.
movement 6, better. 4 up saves, still the same. Snaz guns 3 shots, but it's heavy.
Yep,
5, 6. So they lost a pip of AP. Eh,
they
no
lost the
big
Pippa
deal.
AP. They went back. They went to ballistic skill 5, but they get +1 to hit if they sit still. Gun crazy
But they get
show offs gives you an additional attack if you're shooting the closest target.
and sustained hits could spike.
Right. And then Badger Up
Now,
just lets them reroll hit rolls.
oh, and you can get exploding 6 auto wounds with the ammo run. Now the ammo run means something.
Right.
Hello.
Like points, like this is one of those where points are really going to determine how stupid this unit is. If they're
Mhm.
sitting at about 20 points a model, I could justify bringing 10 of them. But if they're sitting where they were at the beginning of ninth, where they were like 30 points a model, they're just going to sit on the shelf some more.
Yeah. Now are you spending that 5 points on that ammo rent instead?
I might could, buddy. Getting auto wounds and exploding sixes with full hit rerolls with Badger, because I feel like my play with them is to just put Badrick in the unit, put the whole unit in reserves, bring them out, and then just try to delete something.
But you could put them in a battle wagon too
You can.
and give them the +1 to hit with the mech.
Yep, they just won't get.
And
If you've got Badrick, they just won't get their full hit rerolls, but that's also a fair strategy, and they still would have sustained hits.
yep, because it's on their data sheet.
And yeah, even a
So
truck, like they're not bad in a truck either. Again, points depending on the truck.
right. But here's one thing too: is they all have choppas now, so they all can fight. That's the biggest thing I just noticed.
Oh
Usually,
shit.
just a captain.
Yeah, I missed that also. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Good catch there, man. Yeah, so they're actually holy cow, they're actually scary because they've got 4
yeah.
attacks with the choppas. That'd be 5 attacks on the wah, and they're knobs, so they're strength 5, like strength 6 when you declare. Yeah, that
hmm
man. So they just every time I look at this data sheet, it just looks better. And
Yeah, so that's picking up on a walk. You're picking up 50 attacks.
right, if you shoot them at the closest eligible target while they're on the table with Badruck, all right, that's
Yeah,
40 dice. Uh, with full hit rerolls, you're going to average about 22 hits, is what the math comes out to. And I don't even
that's
remember if that was accounting for sustained hits or not. But it's
mm,
one of those where it's pretty spicy. Like these look really good. So that means they're
yeah.
probably going to be like 35 points a model.
They can't be. They're a knob with a gun. 20 points.
I
Come on.
know. I'm not going to spend much time on Gaz, just because again he
Yeah,
was in a
well,
faction focus.
but the only he could join is Mega Knob. That's the only thing that we didn't know.
Right. And
So
interestingly, the one thing I will say about Gaz, if you're looking at this right and you're going through the book and you're like, oh, the truck doesn't say it can't carry gas and he doesn't have the
yeah,
mega knob keyword, stop. We all know the intent. Uh,
yeah.
calm down. Again,
Technically,
FAQs are coming out. It'll get fixed.
yeah, he doesn't have the Mega Armor keyword. Technically, Mega Knobs don't have the Mega Armor keyword.
Right.
But but
Gorkanauts. I'm mixed on the
oh,
Gorkanauts, but I know you're really about them. So what's your take here,
I
buddy?
can't. So they lost 4 wounds, but T12 means now las cannons only on 4s. 6 up invul, stock. Uh, so the funny thing is, like, it has 2 rocket launchers, not twin linked anymore.
Right.
It doesn't have two. So now that you're getting the extra firepower, again, you get +1 to hit in melee when you call a wog. So that big stuff's going +1 attack, strength, and hitting on 2s.
Right.
And it can move over stuff. Other than the cool 2 things I like is this flat 6 up invul. Don't care. I get it. It's OC8, so almost a 5-man troop squad.
Well, and that surprised me was the OC, right? Like these things pretty solid on objectives.
Right. So you do lose 4 when you're degraded, but like a 5-man like all you gotta do is kill one intercessor or one battle because typically battle lines OC2.
Right.
So you just gotta kill one and you could test an objective. So and the other thing too, it holds now 12 models.
Yeah, and
12.
that is one I missed when I was kind of flipping through it yesterday. Um, and the other thing too, for anybody watching, like I don't know how long towering is going to interact the way it does.
Where
Because
you can see through the second floor.
well, towering is just like you always have true line of sight to and from.
Right.
It's no longer the one-way mirror, right, that it was in ninth edition for obscuring and 18 wounds. It is if you're towering, if you can see it, you can shoot it. If it can see you, it can shoot you. I don't expect that to last more than 3 to 6 months because that is an exceptionally powerful rule for these bigger models. Orcs not as much because they are still ballistic skill 5. And there's not like a lot of sustained hits or anything, but just
They go
just
to 4.
be prepared for a change to the towering rules, I think. Again, I don't know, don't quote me. I would just not be surprised if at some point they're like, "Okay, this was not what we had intended."
So I'm excited. I'm really excited at the points though. They just dropped down to 330
Oh, you got the points
right
up
at the
right
end
now?
of night.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, no. No, at the end of night. So they went to 330 at the end of night. So
All right.
oh, there it is. Points are up.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling it up right now. We'll kind of probably speed through some of this orc stuff so we can get to points so that we're not doing this for like 3 or 4 hours.
Because we could
Yeah,
if we
we
wanted to.
absolutely could. Gretchen, I do want to mention, I think Gretchen looked like absolute dumpster juice. You have to take the runt herd with them, so we don't know what points are going to be. But they went back down to T2, and they still have a
And
7 up save.
they're not battle line, so you can only take 3 units now.
Right. So I just feel like they're just dumpster juice. Now, you get to roll a d6 for each objective marker controlled by a Gretchen, but they have to be wholly within range of it, and then on a 4 up, you gain a CP. So, like, there's our CP regen, which is fine.
But they're gonna die.
Right, and that's fine. Whatever.
You could go to ground and be you could,
Right,
right?
and have a fucking 6 up save. I'll just let them die.
No, 6 up invuln. It gives you the benefit of cover and a 6 up invuln.
That's fair. But I just mean, like, I would have to be in dire straits to feel like that's a worthy use of CP. Uh, Hunter Rig did get better.
Okay, so we'll go back real quick.
Yeah.
Flash gets 95 for 5, 190 for 10.
So they're oh shit yeah. So they're 19 points. That's even better. Uh, well nope. We'll get into it because my ADD will have us bouncing back and forth if we don't. Yeah.
Just real quick.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm just like, oh, what's this? And then I'm like, wait, nope, got to stay on task.
Yeah.
Like I said, Hunter rigs did get better. Firing deck 21. They still only carry Beast Naga boys.
But now you can put him and a pain boss, him and a beast egg boss. Great
Right.
God.
The stick of cannons, pretty good.
Funny.
Right. Like it's a single shot, so I don't. It's okay. Like it's funny.
It was a single shot.
But all in all, again, once we see points, I feel like this is a solid. As long as the battle wagon's not just like
Yeah.
absurdly better, like it is right
Right.
now.
I mean, they're exact same profiles 10, 10, 16 wounds, 7, OC5. You know, the only difference is that it doesn't have the invuln,
But it has a
which is
feel no
killer,
pain, right?
which is inherently
Oh,
better.
this is where I saw it. So bailout, boys. If this transport is destroyed, you can re-roll the dice when determining if a disembarking model's unit suffers mortals. So that's where it was. I knew I had seen it somewhere. There was something that lets you re-roll when you die, getting out of a transport.
So so a nice Kareen on that one would be
Yeah, pretty solid. You could move them, put them out where you want to, re-roll to try and save some more boys, or
yeah. And Kareen
re-roll
is
to
not
kill some more boys, whatever.
yeah. Kareen is also only one CP no matter what side.
Yeah. So we're gonna
I,
go ahead.
I like it, but points depending.
Yep.
I mean, again, it's orc shooting.
I'm gonna just glance over Badrock because, like I said, I want to kind of speed through these. I feel like if you're taking flash gets, he's an auto include because he rerolls their hit rolls, and then he has a 6-inch aura of enemy infantry units or -1 toughness within 6 inches. I don't know how often that's going to be relevant, but man, is it funny.
Especially now they all have choppas
Right,
and melee.
right. And then on the WA, strength 6, so you're wounding Marines on 2s.
And he's got a 4-up inbold like stock now. Holy
Yeah,
crap. But again, the kill rig, it's the same thing. It
yeah,
just gets the extra flamer.
yep.
It's a strength 12 flamer, but
Uh, yeah, it's still just the last cannon profile though. Killa cans, I think, are pretty neat, man.
oh, oh my god.
The can shooter looks hilarious with the devastating wounds. Because if you take 5
How
cans, you can just be rolling 25 dice.
how did they get mortals and the Death Dread one not?
Uh,
What are you
the
thinking, James?
the
What are you
can
thinking?
claw, pretty good. Like like to me, this is also another candidate for planting a mech next to. Although I think the mech is a model, not a unit, is the
Yeah,
downside.
that's what I'm getting. Yeah, I think it said that particular model gets +1 to hit, so I don't think it ports over to the unit.
And I don't think the big mechs can go into these squads. Just the mech guns,
Nope.
right? Yeah.
Well, the mech can't even go into it. He just gets blown off of it.
No, I just meant like yeah, correct. But the big mechs can't go into this specific squad. Um,
Right.
the ignore cover is funny. Not hyper relevant if you're taking the big shooters, but it is
Or
funny,
the scorches. Or the scorches. What?
right? Because they already ignore cover. Um, I like the Grotzukas finally.
Oh, I know.
The D3
I
plus 3 shots and having blast. Like, so you're getting D3 plus 4 into a 5 mana Marines. So you're
yeah,
getting a minimum of 5 shots, right?
yeah, and at strength 6, they're still wounding on threes.
Yeah,
Can't benefit from cover because they already have a 3-up.
right. And it's
Uh
and their ballistic skill 4, right? Like cans look really good because you're also not losing them to
Battle shock.
battle shock and
Till you yeah,
baked in
and
invuln.
you don't yeah, and you don't take a battle shock test till you at least lose. Like if you have a 6-man squad, you don't lose them till so you don't start even taking it till
You have
2.
2 left, right? Yeah, no, I think cans have a lot of play. I could see
That's
rockets being okay on them, but I think I just keep the shooters on them just so I can just roll a bunch of dice and try to do mortals. Like that's kind of where I think I would approach it.
right. I mean, but the Rockets do get they're better take busters. They're like better take busters.
Right. What's after
So
cans? Commandos. I think we can bounce commandos. They didn't change a ton. The
well, they went
distraction
from
guy
min
gives them a 5-up invuln. Go ahead.
they went from min 5 to min 10.
Right. It's a 10-man. I think it's just a 10-man unit now. It's not even min 10.
Yeah,
It's just 10. Um, and then you can't fire Overwatch, but really, like I said, they pretty much are the same.
yep.
Custom booster blasters. Eh, it's okay.
The ribbon got spicy because it's -1 to hit. So if you need to like, you don't have to wound them. You just have to hit them.
Right. And then they're subtracting 1 from their hit rolls. The Burna exhausts are 6 inches. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It just cool.
It
Moving
looks
on.
so cool. It looks so good.
Ludus. Um,
Ugh.
I was
My
excited to
second,
see what they did with this unit, but then I looked at the unit and was just like, oh, okay.
thanks for giving us 1 extra strength, but be a 6.
Right. They're ballistic skill 6 with the heavy profile. And I'm just like, why don't we drop heavy and make them ballistic skill 5? Like,
Yep.
why
Yep.
is it so
Exactly.
wrong? Like, why can't we have a gun that like actually interacts? Outside of that, like they're Ludas. There's not much to say on them. They're probably going to be overpointed and underwhelming. Uh, Grotznick looks pretty interesting.
Because he's a second ability of fallback and charge too.
Right. And
And
he
so
gives the
combine that,
unit the 5-up feel no pain because he's a pain boy.
yeah. I really like, and his power claws like strength 9, so they're like, and he hits on threes, so he'll get an extra.
Right. And he's got
You could put
sustained hits. Well, I guess we do anyway,
so.
so that's interesting that he's got it
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, it is. Why did they do?
because they don't stack. Maybe it's to prepare you for like once we get well, no, because they'll just rewrite the codex. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, it is really.
Uh,
But the the dirty syringe is kind of funny too because it's like anti-infantry 4, but it's extra text and it's precision. I mean,
right.
it's not much. Like, it can still sneak there. I like his 5-up in bone stock
Yep.
and a 5 female.
Yep.
Really, really, you could put him and a war Boston together
Yes.
and
And
make
then
it
still
pretty
get the
well.
fall back in charge and give the war boss something else.
Yeah.
God, him
So,
and a war boss in a like a 10 mana knobs with power claws. Huh?
yep, exactly because it's +1 to hit and I feel the pain and oh yeah, he's been my favorite work model from like I was always including him until I started becoming a little bit more competitive. Like,
Right.
okay, he's not competitive, but
Mega knobs, I
oh
think, look pretty solid. They lose some attacks, which kind of hurts, right? Like that kind of creates some feel bads.
yeah, and they're losing the custom shooters,
Right,
which
like
are
all
the
the other
what,
guns are pretty trash now. But I will
but
say, devastating wounds when you declare a WA could get a little spicy, right?
and if you have Gaz in there with lethal hits and +1 to hit and wound,
Yeah, absolutely. Like he this is one of the few units I would ever. The gas can only go in this unit, but even if he could go in other units, I would still probably just put him in Mega Knobs. And I'm not completely sold on Gaz. His points are going to be really dependent. Like he's got to be pretty heckin' cheap for me to think about putting him in there.
235.
God, I was close, man. Shit.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I think that's too much. I could be wrong, and I don't think it's a lot too much, but I think Gas probably needs to be in that 210 to 220 range. But I could be wrong, because he can still like Kool-Aid Man through ruin walls and stuff, but he's just so big. The Scrapjet, I'm not thrilled with that either, right? Like it still does the spiked ram ability. It's got the nose drill, which honestly didn't really change much.
It lost an AP,
Yeah,
but gained. But the other thing too is like I thought when I was reading this was like, why did you combine the wing missile and the rocket cannon because of the objective profile? Then I thought, oh, because you're a vehicle, you could actually shoot the wing missile into melee.
right.
So, and it lost the twin big shooter too. So, it used to have two twin
Two
big
twin
shooters,
big shooters, right. Well, did
and
it
it lost
lose
one.
it?
Yep, it says equipped
Yep,
with
just
the
one
twin big
twin.
shoot. Like,
Yep. Yeah,
poop.
and again, like I just feel like all the buggies for the most part are just kind of on like the naughty box timeout thing, and I think that's just where we're
I
at.
yeah, yeah. Except for the Death Killer War. But that doesn't.
Yeah,
The my winners, my
yeah.
overall winner of
Mech
19.
looks great. I think at least one is going to be in most competitive lists, at least from the start. Giving a vehicle +1 to hit, and it does not specify what type of attack. So, like we were saying earlier, you slap it on a Death Dread. That Death Dread's claws hit on 2s, but its guns are hitting on 4s. Like, Dude just looks super versatile, has a lot of utility. Even if you're not playing a vehicle-centric list, like he's got a lot of utility.
Yeah, just +1 to hit on even like if you're just taking like it sucks though. It's like it's model dependent. So like if it gave to the whole unit of like kilocans,
Right.
holy crap!
Well, and I think that's why it's model dependent, because then like Coptas would look pretty good if I could give them +1 to hit, and then all of a sudden I've got all these rockets hitting on 4s, and I've got that many
Three,
attacks
three,
hitting on 2s. Right.
and but I like him in Met Guns. I think, or I could just leave him outside of the Met Guns just
Right.
for lone operative. Like
And actually,
picking up,
Met Guns is next on the list. So I think personally, the tractor cannon is what I'm bringing most games. I'm not saying
um,
it's the best. I just think it creates the funniest interactions. Um, but
because a lot of people in our group play Tau,
but just the fly, because like that anti-fly will affect Vanguard veterans. That fly will affect uh
Inceptors,
Inceptors, right?
Venom,
Anything that flies, wave serpents, venoms, Storm Boys. Like, there's a lot more fly in the game than people realize. And like, if you've got a demon prince, and I'm just like, ha ha, I wound you on 2s, take a D6 +1 mortals, nerd. Like,
right?
good lord. Like, sure, I got to hit with it, and I got to hope I hit with it, but I just feel like it's super funny. The custom mega cannon, I think, looks great.
Yeah, that's probably like the bubble chicken got better because now everything has blast, and like the big profile is not just one shot, so you're getting a minimum of two shots
Right,
at strength 12. So the smasher gun's funny. Uh, they picked up a strength, picked up a flat damage, lost an AP,
right.
but
Yeah, strength
I
nine's
like.
just not doing it for me.
Yeah, I think like the custom made can, yeah, hazardous, big deal. I'll take my D6 +1 shots.
Right, these things are 6
And
wounds. I don't care.
yeah, don't care. So I think it's strength 12 is really good for hitting those knights. Yeah, and then you just all the mech boys just gonna get +1 to hit this one. Whatever. Okay, now I get three. So
The
it
the
it it is interesting though that you do get reroll hit roll of one on units of 10 or more models. So
right,
and 6 up, they can't and they can actually move, advance. I mean, if you need to, because they had the rule that they couldn't like
right,
advance, charge. I mean, you're not gonna want to advance and charge with them, but
right. But man, if you need to, you can.
they are OC2, which is very interesting as well. So they
Uh,
actually hold a
yeah, yeah. Did you look at the Morkanaut already?
Yep, I was already down at 5 up involved. So no don't have to pay for KFF.
Right,
He's he's just the reverse of the Gorkanat,
and he gets
but
the Mega Blasta, the Mega Zappa, 2 rocket launchers, 2
yep,
twin shooters. Now the Mega Blasta, we already know what that does. The Mega Zappa is only what? It's more shots in strength 10.
yeah. So 10 is okay. I
Right, we
like 10.
can we can work with 10. We're wounding T5 on 2s. Um,
You're
we're
wounding most your
vehicles
medium
on
vehicles
4s or 3s, right?
and +1 to hit on a log. So that's but +1 to hit at range.
Yeah, which is
So
funny.
it's which is opposite. Again, another prime target for the mech every turn. Like, oh, all those guns are getting +1 to hit. Okay. The other thing too is I like you can put the mech inside. He can disembark, then just give it +1 to hit
Right.
because it's the movement phase. So
And then what's this?
another
Did his
prime.
transport capacity go up too? Yeah, okay. God
Oh,
dang.
right. So like 12 burners. So like 6 Meganauts. It can fit a full squad of Meganauts.
Right.
6.
Or 5 in a mega armor character if you needed to.
I mean, I don't know how he fits those in there, but we don't ask questions.
Right. It's just orc magic, dude. uh, Mazrog,
Osgrad,
he's a named
he's
character.
yeah, he's better against monsters, vehicles, and Titanic.
Right. He adds
I
1 to
mean,
the damage, 2 to the damage against Titanic.
Okay, 5 up for mortals with 5 up for mortals with the jaws. So can't give him any enhancements.
Right. Like he's fine. Again, he's one of those where points are really going to depend it. Now we already talked about the knob on Smash a Squig, so I'm going to kind of blast through him
Yes,
just
leader
because.
for only hogs.
Right. Knob with banner. Again, we're just going to stop real quick just to remind everybody this is pretty cool. The unit he's attached to basically gets to declare a second WA is how it's going to work. And
For one
then,
turn.
yep, for one turn. And then he can only go with Boyz and knobs. So to me, like, knobs are the no-brainer there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, because it's advanced charging with all their melee weapons
Yep.
and a pinball, and
And
he gets 4 up inbolt and an OC 5.
five,
Ooh.
right. And then
So
knobs actually don't really change a ton. So it's one of
they just
those,
come.
right, like they just streamlined the profile a little bit, but generally speaking, it's
You
still the
now
same.
get a big chopper for free, but this time you have to take a pistol. You get a pistol,
Yeah, you can't just take a
big
choppa
chopper
and a
chopper.
big choppa, right? Beast Snagga, Pain Boss.
But you
Good.
see the -1 to wound if a war boss is in.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
So T5 -1 with pain boss. I
Pain
like
Boss and
him
Pain
too.
Boy, I mean they're effectively the same model. One just goes in Beast Snaggas, and then the other one goes in Boys
The
and
other one,
Knobs.
boys,
Boys,
boys
Knobs,
not.
Ludas, Burnas, and Tank Bustas. Um, and then yeah, the Grot Orderly you get a D. Oh, so Pain Boy
Yeah,
in Knobs is also pretty solid,
yep.
being able to once per game put a D3 Knobs back in the unit.
I know. That's. I mean, you spike that 3, and that's like,
Right, you get like
yes,
60
please.
points back roughly, you know.
So it's like I do like the fact that he has the the dirty syringe again. It's kind of funny. It's
Yes.
good. It's so like it's 6 if it scores a critical wound, so it's like D6 mortals. So
Right.
and it's precision.
That thing
It's
is
kind of funny.
bonkers. Um, the Squig Buggy, again, looks not great. Like I know people think, "Oh, this looks really good," and I'm like, it's okay, right? Like, yeah, it's got indirect fire, but at the same time, that just means we're hitting on sixes most of the game.
Right.
Fives if we're targeting infantry. It is D6 plus 6 shots, so
With
it's like
blast.
a very consistent amount of shots. You'll still see them on the table, I think. I just am not sold on.
Yeah. And again, the buggies went up in toughness. They
Yep.
all went vanilla. They all went vanilla. So
T7
the
6 up
spring.
save, like yeah, it's just like here's a buggy with this, here's a buggy with this. The shock jump dragsters are interesting, because they
Yes.
automatically teleport, right? But none of their
No,
weapons are assault.
that's okay.
It
That's
is
okay because you can advance and charge those. So you could put them in the back corner, declare your WOG, advance, and then still take that 9 and reroll charge. Still get
right.
that 9 charge.
Try that 9-inch charge, and it's fine, but it's still just like such a weird interaction for this army to just not have that many assault weapons when almost everything is predicated around them advancing. And
Right.
historically, they've had assault weapons.
Oh, historically, ever since it stopped in 9.
Right, because they were like, well, let's make worse rapid fire and then put it on orcs. And, buddy, I
Yeah.
tell you, like, to me, that is the perfect way to sum up orcs in ninth edition. What rule already exists? Here's a worse version of it. Put it in the codex.
Right. Or copy and paste a rule that only one clan got
Right.
for a weapon. But
So
it is a sniper.
yeah, it
It
is,
is
and
a
it's
sniper.
devastating wounds. Like there's some humorous interactions there for sure.
I mean, it is only one shot,
Uh,
but you could kill most characters. They're less wounds now.
right. Squig Hog
I mean,
Boys, I think, look pretty solid.
yeah. T6 5 up feel no pain. T7.
Yeah,
Shit.
T7, T7. Still 3 wounds.
Okay.
And then for 3 of them, they're 110 points. So they're what, like 30, 35 points a model roughly? Which
Yeah.
that's I kind of figured when I saw the profile, like, okay, those are not going to be 25. And arguably, they probably should have been a little bit more than 25 in ninth.
It's not even that's not even divisible by 3.
No, it's not. I wonder if you only take 3 or 6 and not
Yep,
5.
that's it is now
Yeah,
because it's the way
right. Everything's in box quantities. You're only taking box quantities.
6 mega knobs, 200 points.
And it looks like War Gear is basically free right now.
Yep, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder if they include that in
I'm not
point
a
values.
fan.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, big old stomper.
yeah. Let's see what we got. We got this silly dude. Uh, adds 1 to battle shocks for orcs within 12.
Cool.
He's
OC
got
12.
30 wounds, T14. Good lord. What is it?
Six.
Does he have options or is he just nope? So he's got 3 big shooters, a def cannon, a scorcha, a super gatla, super rockets, twin big shooter, mega choppa. Uh, we already saw what the def cannon,
Yeah,
and that didn't change a ton. Like it got a strength bonus, but an AP reduction. The super gatla has sustained hits one with 20
with 20.
shots. And to me, like this is also a prime target for a mech, right?
Oh yeah,
Because like
100%.
10 shots hitting on or 20 shots hitting on 4s, that's 10 hits. And then what is it like 1 out of 6 of
I'm
those?
not taking. I just saw the points. I'm not even gonna.
Oh, is
Not
it
even,
like 800?
yeah,
Yeah.
but just skip. Just skip. I mean, it does hold. Can take transport gas.
22. Good lord. So yeah, that's funny. But uh Storm Boys, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, Storm Boys look really good." I disagree. Um, I think they're too detrimental. Like if you want to advance and charge, don't get me wrong, they're still boys with 12-inch movement. But I'm probably not using the full throttle very often
No,
because it's just
65 for
right,
65 for 5 is really good though with the power clock.
right. Yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain for that. And I mean, even a 10 would then only be 110 points, and the damage output's still there. Like they're still boys. I just like the full throttle was just like, nah, I'll pass. Because the first
It's
time
what.
I do it and I roll like 4 1s and I pick up half my unit, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yep, 130 for 10.
Oh yeah, it's 65. Sorry, not 55. Um, maths are hard, buddy. Tank
I know.
Busters, man, I am not
Ugh.
high on this unit at all. I read the
You just
data
need,
sheet, right? I read the front of it and I was like, holy shit, these things look ridiculously good.
and then
And
you read the back of
then
it.
I read the back of it and I was like, I can only take them in units of 5, and they are
And
WYSIWYG and are 40-year-old resin kit.
no,
Jesus.
yep, one hammer, thanks. And 135 points. Nope. I'm,
Well, and it's like
I'm
if
good.
if I could if I could just take them, right, with just rockets, fine. But the
I
fact that
mean,
I have to have the pistol, I have to have the hammer, I have to have the rockets, it's just like, come on, man.
I'm not disappointed. I mean, the tank hammer is cute now. It's cute. It's 2 attacks, so you don't die. That's 2 mortal
Right, 3
and anti.
attacks on the wall.
Yeah, so hitting on threes,
And they
anti
add 1
vehicle.
to hit rolls and wound rolls against monsters and vehicles.
So anti vehicle 3 up to do D3 more. It's cute.
Like, how many points are they, though? That's the big thing.
135,
That's too
and you
much.
get yep for 5 bottles.
Right, that's too much.
Yeah, just put them away. Put 'em away.
Put them at like 100, and maybe I'll think about it. 20 points a model still seems expensive.
If you could take them at 10,
Right,
you
and
know,
and that's the other inherent issue is that like I can only take a total of 15 tank busters. But
which
I'm not
means I want to
right.
prime candidate for the next for the next
New box.
yeah
I would not complain. Trucks. So trucks look okay. They don't look
50 points
amazing. They look solid.
50 points.
I was hoping that was going to be the case. So when
50.
we get off here, I am definitely I'm building my truck boys like boy howdy bike list. Like we're doing it, buddy. And that's what I'm going
Yep.
to take out today. Because 50 points is like stupid cheap. And
Yep. And,
they're T8, which is a pretty good jump, right? They
yep.
10
From six
wounds
to
is
eight.
where they were. Right. 6 to 8 is pretty good. OC of 2, 6 up invuln, 4 up save. They can get cover. Man, and that's one thing I can't state enough is that we get cover with vehicles now. Uh they get
Got to be partially.
the wrecking ball's free, so now I don't
Yep.
have to worry about spending points on it. Let's go. I'll take my free attack. Um the firing deck 12, obviously 12 transport capacity. Like I like trucks now. Like they needed
And
to be way cheaper than they were, and I'm so glad they are.
yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Like and they heal a wound every turn
Yep.
in your
Uh,
command phase. So you could have a mech prepare it to heal 4
right.
and +1 to for the
Let's look
guys
at some
inside.
bikes, John, because I like them. I think they look pretty good. They
So okay,
lost stealth, right? They lost their -1 to hit, but they gained a 6 up invulnerable save instead.
what? Oh, I didn't even see that. Holy crap!
Yeah. So I feel like that's a good trade off. Like I can't complain, right? I like the -1 to hit, but I also like the 6 up invuln. I can't
Each
complain.
time,
They're now
or
T6,
about time.
right? Uh, the DACA gun is assault and rapid fire and twin linked.
So it's our only assault weapon in the whole codex.
What? Yeah, maybe. I think so. It's only got one twin DACA gun, so you're only getting 5 shots within half range. But if you're within
Which
half range, it's also AP1 instead of AP0.
ooh, that's actually really. And you still get the pistol in melee if you get stuck in melee.
Well,
And there's
I think you either get the pistol or the choppa now. I don't think you can take them both. Let's,
oh yeah,
yep.
that's right. You take
Which
the
I'm
chance.
taking the choppa, right? Because the DACA gun's going to give me enough volume. I'd rather have the melee profile, and then I can give the knob the power claw, which I think I do, right? 4 attacks on the wall for strength 9, neg 2, 2 damage, and then I put the war trike in the unit, so he hits on
So like,
threes. The rest of the squad hits on twos. Like I just think the bikes look really solid. What are they, 3 to 6? So I'm gonna have to run 6 model units.
150 for 6. Oh my god, that's cheap.
That so it's yeah, there's still 25, right? 25 points a model,
Yep.
which is awesome. So yeah, I told you, John. Sometimes I'm just ahead of my time, buddy.
And so they get and again prime candidate for the war trike with the fallback shoot charge or
Right.
+2 to move.
There's so many good options for them. You're right. And I might look at a kill rig so I can just increase their strength even too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because of the psychic power.
Like
Mm.
this might be the edition where I finally break out that stupid kill rig, which means I'll have to finish painting it because I've got my stupid like battle wagon kill rig combo model that I've been kit bashing. So
But it's better. But it's better. But I mean, it looks more orky than.
it does, and it fits what I want my army to look like a lot better. I am gonna get some of the lizardmen carnosaurs, and I think I'm gonna build some new squig hog riders out of those.
The Carnosaur, the
The
cold
whatever
ones, or like
the little ones that the lizardmen ride, I'm gonna try those.
oh, it's lethal. It's plus add 1 to the strength, and then if you roll a 6, it's strength and lethal hit.
Hell yeah.
And that's
These
orcs.
yes,
That's orcs. It's orcs unit too. So this could go on to Killicans.
yeah.
So it's not restricted to like infantry, blah blah blah.
War Boss, like the regular War Boss, is probably the best War Boss that I've seen in this index. Um, was he T5,
70 points.
6 wounds? He's got a combi weapon or a twin slugger, which whatever. I don't care about that. That's not why we take War Bosses. Um, his
He's
power,
got both.
right? His power claw is weapon skill 3, but he gives himself his +1 to hit while he's in a unit. It's strength 10, neg 2, 2 damage. But he gets to add 4 attacks to his melee weapons that aren't.
Does that include the +1?
Yes.
So does
So
he
he'll
get
get
five or
5 plus 4 is 9 attacks with his power claw.
that's yeah. But in the end, you can't complain. 70 points.
Right. Like I am having a hard time justifying my War Boss and Mega Armor, which was I think the next thing. Yeah.
It is
He's got to be super cheap for me to want to bring him because he just doesn't do anything.
95,
Nope, not worth. Like
and he can only join Mega.
when I was talking to Alex and he was just like, "Oh man, Farsight's melee, Farsight's this, Farsight's that," and I'm like, "Look, I get it, but in the context of 10th, Farsight actually doesn't look that bad." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" So I sent him a screenshot of this guy specifically, and he was like, "Oh, I see. All right." Like, yeah,
I
I
mean,
get it, but like Farsight has like 4 attacks or 8 attacks because he's got his sweeps and his strikes. But all his AP went way down, and I'm just like, here, man, here's my War Boss and Mega Armor. Farsight can still just outdo him in every phase. So I'm sorry.
it's yeah. I mean, strike 12 is great for vehicles, but
It
he's
is,
just
but
not that.
like the 4 attacks is just like, sure, man. Why would I don't want that.
I need 6. I need
Right,
6.
give me 5 plus 1 on the wall, or like give him an additional 2 on the wall, so it's like he gets 7, some kind of interaction like the regular war
Yeah,
boss.
why give him a 4+ female pain for on a wall?
Right. I'm gonna pull up points. We're gonna probably just blast through them pretty quickly. Battle
Yeah,
wagons went to 185, so those might be a hard sell.
but they get everything for free.
I know, and it's one of those where I don't think it's going to be bad. It's just going to be a hard sell for me initially because they were what, like 105 base. So it's like
105, but you had to pay for.
with the hard case and the def roller, like that's a 50-point jump. And I'm
But you
not.
got the
Go
better
ahead.
you got the better transport capacity.
Right. Well, and I'm not saying it's not worth it. Right. It's just going to be one of those where my brain is going to have to like
Yeah,
adjust. Knobs on Smashes
decent.
Squigs or Beast Snagga Boys not too far off from where
One,
they're at already.
yeah,
I
5
think,
points different. Beast Boss 80, pretty cheap actually because he's
yeah, the Beast
90.
Boss looks cheap. The Squigosaur Beast Boss at 165, I'm definitely playing him, dude.
Well, he was 160, so he actually went up 5 points.
Right,
But
but he's not as high as he was when he first launched either, though, right? Or no, he's
no, he was 115 when he first launched.
gotcha. But he like I'm gonna play him a couple times at 165. Like he's not so grossly overpointed that I'm never gonna put him on the table.
Like armor, Big Mac, 100 points, good.
Yeah, Big Mac with KFF 65, really good.
That could be 3 of them.
Shock attack is 75. I'll have to get it on the table before I can give any kind of. The boss bunker seems a little overpointed for
Yeah,
something that can't move.
had Blitz bomber 115, about where it was. Oh, really, the buggies stayed the same point.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my
look like they stayed about the same. Boyz, uh, super cheap, man. They're
85.
a decimal point over 8 points of model, right? 85 for 10, so they're 8.5 points each.
So
So they went up a half a point, right? I like
yep.
it. I'm about it. Bernas, oh, yeah, so you got to run them. Yep. So it's 130 for a 10 mana Burnas. So that's 13 points a model. Like that's worth to me.
Because the Spanners get the free KMBs.
Right. I think yeah, and we talked about that. Like I don't care which I put on him, but he's definitely getting the KMB or the buggies or the rockets, I mean.
Yeah, Burn about 125. Okay, it's about what it
Uh
was.
Death Dreads are not coming off the shelf, buddy.
Oh, what the
Because you can put
50?
anything on them, but they almost doubled in points. So mine are just going to sit on the shelf.
Yep.
Wartrike 90 points, man. I like that.
Yeah, that's a
Def
point.
Coptas are 115 divided by 3, so they're about 35 to 40 points. So Def Coptas actually might be worth putting on the table.
Yeah, they got cheaper.
Right. Flash gets looking pretty cheap for what they do. 19 points a
Oh my
model. I
god,
can get behind that.
I can get in front of it too.
Hell yeah.
Gas two, gas 235.
That
I'll
just
try it.
again, I'll put them on the table, but I don't know. We'll see. Uh,
Gorgonite
Gorkanaut
235.
seems reasonable.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
Gretchen.
Gretchen 40.
So Gretchen didn't
Oh,
really go up because you're getting the runt herder in there, right?
yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Technically, they didn't go up. You're just taking one additional model. So maybe a unit or two of Gretchen for some objective holding seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Hunter rig at 180.
Hunter.
So now, right, like now I got to consider: do I want that Hunter rig or do I want that battle wagon if I'm putting Beast Boys into it, right?
Yep.
Like now
Yep.
we have to have that thought process.
Right.
Bad drag 95, kill rig 220. Whew, that's spicy.
Well, that's what it was.
Right.
It was. You're paying for the extra flamer and the
Well, and it's got the
plus one to
feel
hit.
no pain instead of right. Killican's at 50 points a model. I don't think I can complain there. Like it's a little expensive, but you get to pick what guns you want to put on them, and they have inherent
6 of feel no pain or 6 of pinball.
and just the ability to ignore cover. I think, and they don't have all the restrictions that they used to have. Right, I haven't seen
Right.
anything that says Gretchen just don't get shit. So I think I could test run some or some Killicans for 50 points a model.
Oh, three at the cost of 3 kilocans versus one Death Dread. I'll take
Right.
3 kilocans.
Yeah, absolutely. Death Dreads need to drop down to about 100 before I think about even running them.
Yep. Commandos 135 stock. That's what they were. But you get all the cool toys.
Right, all the cool toys for free. Mega Knobs, 2, 3, 5, 6. That's a weird way to do Mega Knobs.
Commandos, what? So custom boosted blaster 85 stayed the same.
Yep.
Ludas 55 points.
So 11 points a
Ooh,
model. At 11 points, I might think about it.
ooh, that's
Could,
actually not bad.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like at 11 points, I will think about putting some Ludus on the table, even though they're ballistic skill 6. Like, even though that absolutely pisses me off. Um,
Yep.
Mega Knobs,
One
they're
Mega
they're
Knobs,
good. They're cheap. Uh,
65,
they're not too far off from where they were. They're like 32 and a half points a model.
3 miles, 110. Because
Right. They're
6 man
they're
squad.
they're like a weird fractional points per model. But a 5 man at
But like,
165, I would definitely too.
because like they were 40 points if you had twin kill saws.
Yep.
So it's a point saving.
Scrapjet's about the same. The mech went up, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm not
Yeah,
surprised given what he does.
yeah.
Mech
20
guns
he went
are
up
about
what,
the same.
exactly the same. It's just now that they were 40, but the KMB was or the KMK was 45.
So
So now
so
you're
the
just paying.
the workshop I think is actually almost playable.
We didn't get the
Uh,
we. I don't think
no, and really all it does is it heals vehicles if they're next to it, but it
we.
also just provides cover.
Oh, so
So
like
right, so you can have like a piece of cover that you get to deploy, and so like I have to look at the fortification rules and see how they work. Um,
right.
but I would consider the Mech Boy Workshop at 80 points if the fortification rules are reasonable, just to put some cover and some ways to kind of like move block enemy units or models, like especially big ones.
Yeah,
The
I agree. Morganite,
Morkana 305 seems reasonable.
I'll take it. Miles
Scarbat,
grabbed 190.
yeah.
Oh,
Knob on Smash a
Knob,
Squig up 10 points, not surprised.
right. Knob and Wild Banner 70 went down in points. 10. So
Uh,
Knob's
20,
5 for 150
23 points a model for 10 of them, but you can just give them Power Claws, so they're effectively where they would have been with Power Claws.
with 22.
Yep.
Pain Boss 70. That's a 10-point reduction. Pain
Pain
Boy,
Boys,
though,
that's a 10
went
point
up.
increase, I think, right? Or 5?
Yep. 10-point increase. Yep. But you get the free D3 dudes back, so
Right,
that pays for itself.
right. Squig Buggy, 110. Drags to
Copy pasted.
85. Yeah, and the Squig
Copy
Hog
pasted.
Boys, oh gosh, what did we say those are at? Those are at like somewhere around 35 points a model, because 35, 70,
Yeah.
105, yeah. So like 37 and a half points per model, roughly. I'll have to see them on the table. I feel like that might be just a little bit too much. I don't think it's a lot too much. Like, I think if three of them were 100, we're probably closer to the right price, but I could be way off. Like, I could get them on the table and they could just be absurd. So,
Well, like, we're going to be a bodyguard unit for the knobs. So, like, is 9 wounds enough for the to get into melee?
no, I'm taking
P7?
the 6-man, right? I am. So you're talking about a 300 point unit at that point, and then it's okay. Is this worth 300 points? Will I get a return on my investment?
I think so. Stop it. Just put it in the. I'm just going to put it in the
Yep.
box.
Storm Boys, we already talked about, pretty solid. Tank Busters 135, too much. Way too much for what you're getting out of that unit. War
Oh,
Bikers,
boy.
25 points a model, dude. Shit, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
War Boss, 70 points. War Boss and Mega Armor, too many points. Way too many.
Yeah.
You could actually flip their points cost and they would both still be good. Like, they would both be good. Like, I feel like the
Yeah.
War Boss at 90 to 95, I would still put him in an army and be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
So, that's what he was.
Right.
That's what he
Uh,
was.
the Blasted Jet,
Wazbot.
God, that's
Holy crap.
spicy.
175 for all that? Oh, okay.
Weird
I'll
Boy,
I'll let
super
my
cheap. Go ahead, you're good.
okay. So do planes count for your 500 points of strategic reserve?
Yes, because they just go into strategic. Oh, I'd have to double check. I think so, because it says that planes start in reserves, but then it says that planes count as strategic reserves for all rules purposes. So I would say probably yes. I want to check out this Word Boy real quick. What's models?
66.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Boop, boop, wrong one. There we go. And then Wartsnaga. So
Okay,
overall,
so
go ahead.
hold on a second though. But like, did you? I mean, he's 80 points, but did you read what he does with Gretchen?
Yes, I did. And he's actually pretty cool. So our detachment enhancements cost points. I didn't realize that.
Yep. Well, that was a rumor because why give that stuff for free? They're not bad.
No, and they're reasonably pointed. You know, follow me, lads. Understand why it's 25. Edwap is Kill Choppa. Understand why it's 20. Cunning but brutal. Like, yeah. Overall, I think I don't think we shook out very poorly. I think there's a few things that are probably a little overpointed. I don't know that anything stands out as being underpointed yet, but I'm sure somebody out there has done the math and figured out how to just like break something in here because of how ridiculously cheap it is. But overall, I feel like
The top three, I think the top three losers are Death Dreads, Tank Busters, Ludus. But maybe not Ludus. Oh,
no, I still think Ludas are one of the worst things in the book or in the index, but at least they're cheap enough that I could justify putting them on the table. I definitely agree. Death Dreads got spanked pretty hard. Tank Busta's pretty bad. And I think personally, I think the War Boss and Mega Armor is one of the bigger losers, and not because of his points, but because his data sheet is just underwhelming.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. My top three winners: bikes, apparently now.
Yeah, trucks.
Bikes, trucks, and I think the Big Mac. I think the Big Mac with just regular KFF is a huge winner.
I think
Like
my third is honestly a tie between Flash Gits and that Big Mac, right? Just because Flash Gits have been on the shelf for so long, and just knowing that they're coming off the shelf to me makes them a big winner, right?
probably be in my first list.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Which I'm getting ready
probably.
to work on right now. So, John, I am going to cut us off here. I appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure. We'll have
Oh,
to do this again.
yep, we will. Have a great time in Plymouth today and kick some butt.
I will
I
do
want to
my
hear
best,
stories.
sir. You guys out there, thanks for joining us, and you have a fantastic day.